What was the name of the first Oxford house that you moved into?
Pinecrest Oxford House.
Where was that at?
I was in Bremerton, Washington.
The very first was Green Country in '06.
So it was in Clackamas, Oregon, and the Mather House. And that was the only one I lived at.
But the last time when it stuck was Shirley Ann in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 2010.
Yep, I didn't really want to get in, so I really wasn't, I wasn't sure I wanted to live in an Oxford house. So, but yep, so I almost bombed it, but they accepted me anyways.
Oxford House Pennville in Oklahoma City. I didn't have a normal interview. I didn't sit in an Oxford house and then vote on me. I had two guys that come to an AA meeting that I went to in prison. They came every week, and they're the ones that talked me into coming into Oxford House. And at first I didn't want to. I wanted to go home. They asked me a question. They said, well, you know, what if you stay here and you get into an Oxford house and you get a sponsor and you work the steps and you change your life and life gets good? You know, worst case scenario, you go back home and you don't like it, you screw up and you go to treatment or you go back to prison. That's worst case scenario, but best case scenario, life gets good. So I decided I wanted to do that, and I went back and talked to them, and they said that they had discussed it with their house, and they had one question for me. They asked me, was I willing to do whatever it takes to stay sober? And I said yes, and they said, we'll see, and you've been voted in.
Oh, yeah. How did it make you feel the first time you realized that Oxford House was going to be the catalyst that changed your life forever?
How did it make me feel?
A little bit overwhelmed, actually, I think.
So, initially I was terrified, right? Even though once I figured out, like, okay, I can do this, my life is changing, I'm not dead, I'm not sitting in jail still, but it terrified me because I didn't know how to just be human, right? And not be a crappy person. It took a long time. But once it all started clicking and I started getting things back and talking to my family and being a good house member, because I wasn't the best, it was a very calming feeling.
Every day, I went to long-term treatment for 9 months, and when I got out, I went to an Oxford house. And every day or every month, I'd get another month. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. And I was so terrified to go back to my old ways. So if it was, service positions in NA or going to house meetings to help the outreach worker there, part of the housing services I would do. And I stayed in the middle, so if I failed, they could catch me. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I was doing it. This is actually working.
What was I thinking before? I thought I was comfortable. I woke up, put my feet on the carpet. You know what I mean? Like, I could have laid back down if I wanted to. I could go upstairs and make something to eat, coffee, see what the guys were doing. I don't know if I had truly had a sense of home in a long time, you know?
Because once I got involved in service work and took different positions, it was helping me build up my confidence so much. And then I was like, I can do this. So
I didn't like Dan when I first met Dan. He came and asked me if I wanted to open a house, and I said no, I don't want to. That's a lot of work, and I didn't feel like I was ready. And then I asked my sponsor about it. He said, I think you'd be the best person for the job, and you'd always regret it if you didn't. And so I prayed about it, and when I woke up that next morning, I knew that was where God was leading me. And so I remember looking at him and going, I can't do this. I'm a career criminal. And he said, not anymore, you're a trusted servant.
What would you tell somebody considering stepping up to a service position in the chapter, the state association, or maybe even becoming an outreach worker?
Just do it.
Like, service will save you.
There's no loss there.
To listen more to other people, and not so much in here, because that negative self-talk was what was trying to drag me back.
Like what I would tell myself too as an outreach worker when I was new, if I could go back, I would say, you know, God's got it. Like, have faith, you know, and I am not I'm just the vessel, and it's gonna be okay, because I have been through some crazy things, and God's got a higher power, whatever you want to call it, but it all ends up okay, and it's a learning experience.
So just kind of taking some moments to really just be aware of everything going on around you and know that, like, I'm gonna be okay. Like, this is home, this is where I need to be, and I can do this.
If I decide I want to open a house and I don't like it, it's really not that big of a deal. But if I go and I do that, and that's the experience that changes my life, I couldn't imagine. See, I had a 3-month plan. I had this plan. I was going to come into Oxford House. I was going to get my ankle monitor cut off, and I was done. And then I opened a house, and I made a commitment to those guys in that house, and I fulfilled that commitment. And by the time at the end of that commitment, I had another commitment and another commitment. And today I have the best life that I ever could have imagined.
I think something about giving back to people that are in the same situation that I was in, you know what I mean? And helping people to get out of that spot that I know all too well, you know what I mean? I would say get involved. Like, don't be shy. Raise your hand and say, my name is so-and-so, you know what I mean? Like, and people will recognize that, you know what I mean? And then there's no going back.
Who do you think is most proud of the success that you've had in Oxford House?
So I feel like my parents. So I feel like once, the longer that I stayed and the more things they were, you know, they got on board and like, okay, she's really making the change. The words didn't matter. They needed to see something for themselves. You know, there was big stretches of time that I had no contact with them when I was out, because I felt like it was better just to stay away, because I had messed up so bad. So, I mean, it's just, I have all of that back now.
My mom, by far. Yes, she's very involved in the program that deals with us. So we have that jargon, we can speak that talk. We could do our meditations in the morning, and she understands. We can talk steps. We can watch movies and be like, oh, there's the 10th step, or, you know. So it's kind of neat to see and have that. It's a special bond that we have now.
It's a tough question, but I don't, you know, I know my parents are proud. I almost want to say my kids. You know, my son, he's 21 now, you know what I mean? And he says he's proud of me, you know what I mean? Which is like a role reversal, you know what I mean? But, I mean, he's down and living in Mexico, learning to become a youth pastor, you know what I'm saying? So, and his mom was terrified. Like, you're moving to Tijuana? Why go to school all the way in Tijuana? He's 21 years old, you know? And he said, I want to go where I'm needed the most. Just like you.
Who is most proud of your success in Oxford House?
Well, I lost my mom and dad early in recovery. I lost my mom first, and then it was a tragic finding my dad. Dad was unexpected. So I do believe that they are super proud of me, seeing where I came from to what I am today. And I know that they're watching down on me, but I think my biggest supporter is my wife. She's my cheerleader, you know. She, before I go do something, before I come here, before I do the state convention, I get these little messages about just how amazing I am and how she's proud of me for helping other people. And when I look at her, there's no doubt that she loves me unconditionally. And I don't have support like that. I never had support like that. So that's definitely my biggest supporter.
Okay.
You're a little bit nervous?
Yes.
Okay. What do you call a fish with two knees?
Gosh, see, tough.
A two-knee fish.
I always check, man.
I don't need to watch that, right?
No, you're looking.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I was like, no. Good.
You got anything else for me?
I think just some words of advice that I would give. I mean, because officially I've only been employed for a year and a half, but being around for a while, especially for the women, take some time. I want them to take some time for themselves and give those self-affirmations. Don't spend time looking for love. It's, we know this, it has to start within, but really it's important, like any small goals that you do, even if it's getting out of bed an hour earlier than normal, it's important to celebrate that stuff for yourself, because every little thing adds up and it helps gain your self-esteem. So I'm all about empowering women, and I think that it's imperative that we remember where we came from and not leave the other women behind that don't have a voice yet. So that's all I got.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.